I just recently came across Plainclothes. First of all, the actor who played Lucas with the blue eyes, brown hair, I found him more attractive with the facial hair and when his hair was longer. That look of him was the look that he had after leaving the job. It was the holiday gathering at his parents' house. His father had passed recently, and him and his mom are coping with the loss. Lucas, being an undercover, plainclothes police officer, doing surveillance at a bathroom in a mall that was frequented a lot by gay men, but they call it cottaging. They call it cruising the bathrooms, you know? So him having that position as a police officer and internally struggling with his own homosexuality, that must have been really a hard position to have. We saw that in the movie. He got to a point where he was being haunted by luring men, baiting men. And that's a shit job to have as a gay man. You're like with your own kind. Like, that's like the worst, right? Let's take a look at this. And I'm only speaking about my world and what I've experienced, being 66 and all, and having a good amount of gay friends who who were doing exactly what was going on in this movie, which was cruising the bathrooms. I remember 85. Like there was Babylon train station, Long Island Railroad was cruised heavily. There was a friend of mine from high school who was 2 years younger. The rumor was that he was in this bathroom like heavy, heavy, heavy. And I had a friend in the late 80s who also had a very, very, very hard time with that same bathroom. Having a plainclothes cop lure him getting arrested. He would get arrested. And then the STIs. He was a young man. I was in my 20s and so was he. And his health was just deteriorating due to his sex addiction. The movie is very, very good at allowing me to look at the reality of what the life is for gay men. Not all of them at that time, because I don't think that happens so much now in 2025. I live in New York City, and I certainly would know about if the Columbus Circle Mall's bathroom was a hot spot, or certain train stations. I know in the city, subway stations like Jackson Heights, 74th Street and Roosevelt Avenue, that bathroom in the 90s was a hot spot. There were areas in Jackson Heights. There was Vaseline Alley on Roosevelt Avenue and like 69th Street. There was this real like funky alley that they called it Vaseline Alley. So in the gay male world from the 70s and 80s and 90s, we all engaged. I didn't. I was a confused, overweight person and wasn't too sure of my gender. And I used the food addiction and the alcohol to numb my sexuality. But all my friends were gorgeous and sexually active and quite adventurous in that way. Getting back to the movie, I'm not going to say that all gay men are like that, but I believe that being gay, and I'm a queer person and I'm a trans woman, that the level of shame that we carry, that I carry, can lead to that type of anonymous sexual behavior, because there's such an intensity with that. And I remember the cruising of park and ride. There were park and rides and the Long Island Expressway that were cruising areas. Late at night, gay men were like driving their cars around that parking lot, cruising other people. I was there. I was there for that one. I didn't do the bathrooms, but I did that with the car. I thought that was safer. And you would talk to somebody from their car window to my car window. And I never had sex in those parking rides, but it was interesting. I had just been coming out in my early 30s, and I discovered that. I'll admit that the bathrooms were always very alluring to me. I'll be very honest. The aroma that could come out of the bathroom. I mean, for me, I guess that's part of my kink and fetish, which I've never acted out in real life. But the aromas of those bathrooms, for whatever reason. So for gay men, that could just be like a big turn on. And it'll be like the anniversary of George Michael, because George Michael passed away on Christmas Day morning. And George Michael had a problem with the bathrooms. Can we say, was it a sex addiction for him? And then we look at another celebrity, Paul Rubens, being seen at a gay movie house. I'll say that I have a sex addiction, but my sex addiction didn't take me there. I'm addicted to sex and love and validation and intrigue. Getting the sex in the bathroom is a sex addiction. Can't say it's a love addiction because they're not looking for love in that bathroom, but validation and intrigue. And I know I am addicted to that validation and intrigue heavily, more than the sex, the acting out sexually. Or your love addiction, that could happen. Like, I have good sex with you. I want to marry you right away. Less that way now since I've transitioned. Growing up as a kid and not being able to openly express the attraction, being able to date openly and tell mom, oh, mom, I met this really cute guy in school. And every time I see him walking down the hall, we say hi to each other and he winks at me. And what do I do, mom? There wasn't that opportunity to consult with your parents about, how to date and how do I navigate that? You don't have that openness and everything is a secret and there's a lot of shame. So as a gay person, I grew up with that and I could see that Lucas was struggling. He held all that in. Look at the locker scene where all the men with the beautiful butts are walking around and Lucas is checking them all out and the lieutenant like taps him on the shoulder and it kind of wakes him up. And so having to keep that in is such a struggle and I don't wish that on anybody. Let's backtrack. Lucas got that letter, right? And he lost that letter from in the very beginning of the movie. And the uncle's like, what you looking for? Oh, I dropped something. And in the beginning of the movie, the mom says, listen, Uncle Pendejo is going to stay with us for a couple of weeks, and he needs a place to stay. And the son says, Lucas says, no, I don't like him to be here. He wears me out. He wears you out. I don't think this is a good idea. And his mom is caretaking, codependent in a way, I guess. That's her brother, and she's looking out for her brother. And then at the funeral, Lucas has his ex, female. She's there for him. Oh, she was a very warm person. And for Lucas to have told her and opened up to her about his attraction to men, and that she didn't emasculate him and make him feel like an idiot for that, or a freak, or pervert, just speaks so highly to, I guess, Lucas's choice in women. I'm sure he wasn't planning on telling her when he met her. Maybe that evolved as he was with her. But a good thing that she was cool with it and she gave him the advice that she gave him. And then the scene in the house at the table where Uncle Paulie with a really, really young woman who knew Lucas's ex. Uncle Paulie's like, oh yeah, what did she tell you about him? What did she tell you about him? The girl's whispering in Uncle Paulie's ear. And Lucas is freaking the fuck out. Like, what did she tell the friend that, he thinks that maybe he's, that he is attracted to other men? Oh my God, the kid is going through a panic attack, anxiety like crazy, which through the movie, he struggles with the anxiety. And I could totally relate to that because I was always being snagged. Somebody in the family would find out that I frequented a gay club and then I'm being roasted, and the paranoia. Then the relationship of his mom with the uncle. That too I relate to because I had an uncle that was my mother's only brother. My uncle was younger than my mom, and my uncle had inappropriate sexual contact with me as a child. And I never told my mom. And then fast forward at 19 years of age, my uncle sees me in New York City because I'm dating this guy who was 27 that I met on a New Year's Eve party. And we're going out to dinner. My uncle's driving a cab. We weren't holding hands or anything. We're just walking. My uncle honks the horn on his cab. And I go to my uncle and say, oh, hi. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I said, I'm going out to dinner with a friend. And then I said, well, I got to go by. And then he honks the horn again. And he asks me again, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm going out to dinner with my friend. I'll see you later. So that night, my uncle calls my mom and tells my mom that I'm with a man and, assuming that like we're an item. And so it was kind of like the same thing for Lucas, his uncle, his mother's brother, and he has the letter. And he's the one that totally violated Lucas by knowing that Lucas was looking for that letter and decided to keep it and then to open the letter, which was not addressed to him, and to tell the mom, your husband, Gus, because Lucas was operating under an alias of his father's name with Andrew. My same uncle who violated me was the same uncle that outed me. And that because of the bond that I saw with my mom and her brother, my uncle, I could not ever tell my mom what he had done. I felt that at that point she wouldn't believe me because it would seem like I'm trying to get back at him for him outing me. So I kept that secret till she went to the grave. I never told her that this had happened with her brother, her brother that she put on a pedestal. So it was just really interesting to see another uncle be a piece of shit, another uncle like interfere in shit that had nothing to do with them. And the closeness that the two had, the brother and the sister, Lucas's mother and Lucas's uncle. And then another thing that I saw that was really painful for me to see in this movie with Lucas, his attachment to Andrew, because Andrew was his first. Andrew kept reminding Lucas that we're just going to hook up one time and that's all this is going to be. But it went over Lucas's head. Most people's first times with someone, especially I think when you're gay, because I'm not a psychiatrist or have statistics to prove this stuff. I'm only going by my experience. I've seen a few of these things happen with gay friends of mine when they were young, the first person that they hooked up, and that when the relationship breaks up, they're a mess. They're a fucking mess. And I know like the guy that my uncle saw me with, and then my uncle outed me, and then my mother went berserk on me. I was the black sheep immediately, and the whole family turned against me. Like that was such a mind fuck. I left my home, my family of origin, to go live with the man that I was dating that was not yet my partner. And that what my mother did was sabotage the relationship that I had with him, and she intervened and it made it really difficult and uncomfortable for me that eventually, I don't know why, I came back home. And when I got back home, she found my phone book, she found a photo of him, and how devastated it was that I couldn't get back in touch with him. It's not like we were using cell phones. I just didn't have any way to contact him, no email. And then I remember like the mind that I went through because we saw it in the movie with Lucas and Andrew when Andrew started pulling away. Lucas, who is a police officer, takes down his plate, stalks him as a police officer. Like, what a risk that he took. And goes to his job, blows Andrew's cover at the job, and then says to Andrew, like, I'm going crazy. Like, you can come over. I don't care. We could do this. We could do that. And he's not hearing Andrew. Andrew keeps telling him, no, I'm married. I have a family. I can't do it. And that was so sad. It was so sad. His first time, and Lucas fell in love. Lucas's world was rocked. He finally got sex with a guy. And a guy who he was attracted to, and they bonded in that first place that they met at. And the world for gay people, queer people, is sad. I had it so pent up with me with my guy who was 27 and I was 19. I left him, and then when I realized what I had done, and I'm trying to get back in touch with him, and I can't. My mother took the telephone book. My mother took his picture. I hired a private investigator to try to find. I remember going to the library and going through phone books and looking up his name and the area that he lived in, East Orange, trying to find his number. I was turned out, and I couldn't confront my mom. I wish I could have confronted her, and I did not. My uncle ruined my life. That's like such a heavy burden to go through as a young person, and Lucas got turned out. But Andrew kept telling him from the very beginning, and Andrew said a line in the movie, no, we were just both looking for sex. But Lucas was not just looking for sex. He was attracted to Andrew. What started as a sexual connection, which nowadays I realize that's always the worst way to start a relationship, with the intensity of sex. And then you develop feelings, and that person just took you for sex, and they assume that you just came into it for sex. And one wants a lot more relationship, go to San Francisco together. And the other one's like, no, I'm married with kids, and this was just a sexual thing, like, no, I can't do that with you. It was hard to see Lucas struggle. It was so sad, because he looked like a good kid, good guy, sweet guy, very good-looking guy. The sex scenes, they were okay. I think they were pretty tasteful. I was kind of upset that Lucas took that He took that really easy. I still can't do it. I still can't do it that easy. I wish. I wish. And just saying, breathe, just take it easy. And Lucas is like, like Lucas took it. Took it. Lucas, show me how to do that because I can't. I wish I could bottom more, and I just can. And I'm not gonna get high to bottom. I'm not gonna take poppers. I'm not gonna start messing around with a butt plug. Those things scare me. Put anything up my but Lucas got it. Lucas did it. I was happy they both got it. They were both versatile. They had no discussion, right? Or maybe they did talk. Are you versatile? Are you top? Are you bottom? What's going on? Because they didn't meet off an app that, in the app, maybe there's some information, like I'm versatile, I'm only top, I'm only bottom. But they seemed to find their groove. It was cute. It was cute, especially the first one when they were like in the flower thing. Oh, the mom was cute. The mom was good. Yes, Maria Dizia as Marie Brennan. She was very good. I have to say, all the acting in this movie was amazingly well. It was perfect. The girlfriend, Amy Forsyth as Emily, she was amazing. Amazing. Beautiful, beautiful role. She played it. And Uncle Paulie, who the was Uncle Paulie? Uncle Paulie was a son of a gun, honey. Oh, Gabe Fazio. He played it, though. I got to give him credit. He played it. There was no scene, nothing. And none of the actors where they looked like they were acting. No. Flawless performances. Flawless. And then how Uncle Paulie, and because the envelope was addressed to Gus, they all thought that the father of Lucas was playing with other men. And the way Uncle Paul spoke about Lucas's father to him, about, the smile and the gentleness and the sensitivity, and how that is a stereotype to queerness, to a queer man. Of course, couldn't you tell? Didn't you tell your father was queer? He's like a used car salesman. There was something he was hiding. Yeah, he could have gave your mother AIDS. Yeah, well, the AIDS epidemic was at its height at that time. It was a big fear that people had. But all the stereotypes. And in the beginning of the movie, when they had that film they were playing for the training of the officers of that man that murdered the two girls, and that man, had frequented that bathroom, like the horribleness that people feel that gay men are, that whole pervert thing and that whole inhuman, degrading view that is placed on gay men, still like that today, unfortunately. And it's trickled down into the trans community and every other LGBTQ aspect of the whole spectrum. But I don't know. And the way Lucas kicked Uncle Paul's ass, he like went into a rage, went into the living room or the dining room and whooped ass.
Dear Gus, the day you visited my church reminded me of a time when I thought my secret would kill me. Through my family, I found a way to carry on. And I don't want my kids to know a world without me. I want to teach them everything I know. I want them to live truthfully. I'm glad I met you. It's difficult to be angry when I see that you struggle in hiding too. But I need you to know that it's not too late for you. I hope you can free yourself of the shame. Maybe one day I'll be in San Francisco. And maybe you'll find your San Francisco too. Until then, Andrew.
And then to tell the family, and the mom knew what he was saying, that
It's not Dad's letter.
no, this was not Dad's letter.
It's mine.
This was my letter to me. And did you see the look on the mom? Like that, like she went into like the processing of like, so that means that my son is gay and my son is coming out and so it's not my husband, his father. And her sense of like relief was that with that smile, or the admiration that she felt for her son coming out. And her son not only coming out, but whooping the uncle's ass. You're pulling for my dad, you're pulling for mom, and and your son can't stand you. Oh, he was a piece of shit. That Uncle Paul. And him with the younger women. You got to look at his thing. Like, why can't he find an age appropriate woman? Whatever. Why can't I find an age appropriate man? My eyes are really, really young. But I just thought it was such a well done movie. It was a great movie from start to finish. I believed it all, honey. The actor that played Andrew, Russell Tovey, he was so cute in his own way. It was like almost like kind of like a little bit of a teddy bear in that movie, and that look with the glasses and being a reverend, and that vibe that they had was really nice between Andrew and Lucas. Sexuality for me as a trans woman, meeting men now as I am trans, is different than the men that I knew and met when I was gay. And I always feel with sexuality and preferences and what men come to the table with their sexual desires and fantasies and kinks and fetishes, I always respect them. But then again, that's because I'm queer. I've been very, very close to those places where there's anonymous gay sex going on in abandoned buildings in New York City and other places in New York. And so I understand the culture. I understand what queer people go through, myself being queer and the small world that we live in. And there's all the shame and all the secrecy, like the George Michael and the Pee Wee Herman thing. I'm not laughing at it, but it's a serious thing. And so whoever watches this review, whoever gets to watch the movie, to have an open mind about the gay world and the queer world and not to demonize LGBTQ people. Therefore, for the grace of God, go I. The bathroom stuff and that anonymous and going to Central Park and having sex in parks like that isn't not yet for me. I never did it. I hope I never do. I'm on a sexual recovery plan. I've talked about it a lot on my videos here at YouTube. Maybe you should watch a couple of them. My sexual recovery plan helps me stay out of trouble, helps me try to discern who might be a good person to have casual sex with through the app and who may not be. So I just hope that wherever your background is and whatever way you handle your sexuality and your sexual needs, that you do it in healthy ways that keeps you minimized from any health dangers, any personal liabilities, and keeps you from harm. All right. And I don't know what else to say. This was a very, 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 very good movie for me. I really enjoyed it a lot. It's now in my collection, and I'm glad I got to see it. So I hope this review helps. And it's coming from a transgender Puerto Rican mama's perspective. So 3 kisses for spiritual awareness, mwah, emotional awareness, mwah, and physical health, mwah, and non-judgment of queer people and the LGBTQ community. Okay. Thanks for watching. Trans Mama loves you. Bye.